mean, you had 3 failed abortion appointments. So you obviously were very much considering going through with the abortion procedure and then, changing your mind. What did you need to hear? And what was, how do you use that in your work today in the pro-life movement?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question because that's exactly why we started the PRC. I started it as the clinic I needed. And honestly, it's going to sound crazy. I needed somebody to maybe say congratulations. It's as simple as that. There's so many
Simple.
times. Yeah, it really was. I remember when I found out I was pregnant, I was in my dorm room. I was sitting on the floor waiting for the results. I was sweating bullets, and my roommates had no idea what was going on. And when I finally worked up the courage to tell people I was pregnant, my boyfriend, my roommates, their face dropped, and it was like I told them I had a terminal disease with 10 minutes left to live. I mean, and so when that's the reaction you're met with, your immediate thinking is like fight or flight, like, oh crap, maybe I'm not recognizing how bad this is. So for me, I think the clinic we started, really, the point was, let's just encounter women, and we can acknowledge that the circumstances surrounding pregnancy are hard in certain situations, that everything might not be, laid out, that their journey into parenthood is going to have some hurdles. But we can, in that one moment when we encounter a new mom, celebrate the fact that there's still new life, and we can rejoice in that. And there's a tactful way to do that. And if I had that, I probably would not have been so dead set on having an abortion. So that's really what we needed. We just to encounter somebody with a smile.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's so simple, right? Like, everybody can smile and say congratulations, but you're right. It's like this weird, especially what, the younger the mother is, right? Of just like, I don't know what to say. And clearly if a girl is 15 years old, 16 years old, she's not intending to get pregnant. And so to say, I think a lot of people struggle a lot with that. Did you come from a Catholic family and a pro-life family?
I did. I was raised in the church for sure. I went to Catholic high school. I, went to mass every Sunday. But when I graduated when I was 17 and I moved down to Daytona Beach, Florida to go to college, I left all of that at the door. I had, I went to college not for the academic opportunities. Later I went back, and of course, but it's like that. I was raised in the church. I knew right from wrong. I didn't have a relationship, I don't think, at that point with our Lord. And honestly, like, I knew I was pro-life, but it hadn't happened to me before. I hadn't had to, like, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it becomes your own.
It's different when it's your own life, right?
Yeah, it's your own life. It's your own, I felt immediate shame because everyone was like, when I say congratulations, obviously when you're looking at a 15-year-old, you're not like, you're throwing up confetti and saying congratulations, but there can be an encounter of like, okay, like, this is not the end. Like, okay, like, you're going to be okay. This baby's going to be okay. And you have a future ahead of you. And let's talk about what that could look like. So, so, I mean, I didn't have that, and I was maybe up here pro-life, but in my heart, it hadn't connected yet. So I really seriously discerned abortion and tried to get one 3 times. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is important. This is an important conversation for parents too, especially if you consider of those. What are those first words? Your daughter calls you from college to say, "Mom, Dad, I'm pregnant," and I think we have to be very careful about what our first words are. And as a parent, you obviously have a lot of hopes and dreams and ambitions for your children. Some of it you may be living vicariously through your children. And so there's obviously going to be a sense of disappointment there, a sense of concern, fear for your child. But, that first phrase that comes out of your mouth, like, changes everything and the trajectory of the whole conversation. Did you tell your parents when you were pregnant, or did you go just immediately to peers?
I went immediately to peers. I've always been sort of like, I had a good relationship with my parents, but at that time, I was like, well, I'm a teenager. I know everything. So clearly I don't have to tell mom and dad. And then after I made the decision to choose life, I just knew how ashamed, I knew in my soul how ashamed and disappointed. And when I called and I said, Mom, Dad, I'm pregnant. And my mom said, okay, are you okay? I was like, wait, what? That's your answer? And I felt so much relief. I had made it into something way bigger. Maybe because I went to my peers and I didn't go to I didn't give my mom and dad credit. I was so scared to tell them. So then when we had women come to us, especially young people come to us at the clinic and say, I just can't tell my mom and dad, we're like, you know what? It's a lot worse in your head than it's actually going to be. Usually. Not always, but usually. Yeah.
Usually. I think it's true. And I think what you're saying about you went to your peers first, you know, it's a sad statement of, and I think you and I are probably around the same age. I don't know what your age is, but okay, I'll be 38 soon. So yeah, we're on the same age. But yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, we grew up in this generation of like, I am woman, hear me roar. Women can do anything, you know, we're just as smart as men. We're probably smarter than men. Like it was a very like affirming pro woman culture.
Yeah.
Except for when you get pregnant. And so then it's like, hold on, put on the brakes. You're like, you are a woman, here you are, you can do whatever you want, and you're just as good as men, except if you're pregnant, now you can't do it, and it's suddenly like all your hopes and all your dreams and your career aspirations, they go out the window, and it's like you see that and you still see it regurgitated with young people today on college campuses. I was talking to a student just last night on a college campus who you could tell she was really trying to sort through the issue, mush, and I would call the mushy middle. And, you know, she obviously had reservations about abortion, but then, you know, was like, I'm just so afraid. I'm just so afraid that I get pregnant. And the obvious answer is, like, if you're that afraid, you don't have to have sex. So that's like the obvious, like, that's the mom answer. That's not the answer everybody wants to have. But that's like the obvious mom answer of like, it's actually the answer is like right in front of you.
Yes.
But the other answer is, what makes you think you can't do it? Like you're the accomplished woman going to a great university. You obviously have your head put on straight. Like you can do this. Yeah. And there are federally mandated, if you're going to, I was at State University, you know, there's federally mandated resources and support you have to have. Like what makes you think, who's speaking these like lies into you and this doubt into you that you're not strong enough, you're not noble enough to sacrifice, you know, and maybe go through the pain of childbirth for 9 months so someone else can have 90 years.